Good morning, everyone. My name is Elisa Gray, and as most of you know, I am the Training and Assessment Specialist for the Voting System Technical Oversight Program and the instructor of the CEATS program. I am delighted to welcome you all to the graduation ceremony for the 5th cohort of the CEATS program. I would like to thank you all for being here today to celebrate the hard work and dedication of the Cohort 5 participants. We expect this event to last approximately 3 hours. We will have a break halfway through, and there will be refreshments, cake, and hors d'oeuvres following the ceremony. Before the ceremony begins, I would like to ask that you all turn your cell phones to silent. During today's celebration, we will be hearing a brief statement from the Honorable Indiana Secretary of State Diego Morales, followed by remarks by Ball State University Vice President for Governmental Relations and Industry Engagement, Becca Pulse Rice. We will also be hearing from the VSTOP co-directors, Dr. Jay Baga and Dr. Chad Kinsella. And finally, from guest speakers from the Election Assistance Commission, Isaac Miller and Commissioner Donald Palmer. After these opening remarks, we will transition to the commencement ceremony and presentation of certificates with the capstone projects. Before we begin the introductions of today's speakers of the graduation ceremony, I would like to express my gratitude and appreciation to the key players who support the Certificate in Election Administration, Technology, and Security program. First, I would like to thank my team at VSTOP for the time and attention that they also dedicate towards the CEATS program. Throughout the course of the program, they provide presentations, assist with setting up the room for the session, and are patient and understanding with watching me run around the office to make sure all the material is printed and prepared for the session. I truly appreciate each and every one of you for your support. Next, on behalf of the VSTOP team and the CEATS graduates, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to the guest speakers who attended the Cohort 5 CEATS sessions. Because of these organizations, we are able to provide the training course for election administrators in the state of Indiana. Their presentations for the session demonstrate the importance and highlight the value of election integrity that we strive to bring forth in Indiana. It is with great privilege to acknowledge these guest speakers from the Cohort 5 in-person sessions: the Indiana Secretary of State's Office, Indiana Election Division, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the United States Election Assistance Commission, Indiana Disability Rights, Civics, Baker Tilly, ES&S, and Microvote. Please join me in providing a round of applause for these guest speakers. Thank you. Now it is with great pleasure that I turn it over to Indiana's 63rd Secretary of State, the Honorable Secretary of State Diego Morales, for his opening remarks.
Well, thank you, Alisa. I'll tell you, so Alisa was part of our bipartisan delegation when we went to Guatemala to become international election observers last year. And Alisa and Dr. Kinsella, Chad, you both did a great job representing VSTOP and Ball State in Central America as an international election observer. I'm very proud to provide that opportunity for you both as well. And of course, a big welcome to Commissioner Don Palmer, the man. You know, I get to see him all over. So Commissioner, welcome to our great Hoosier State. I'm sure you're experiencing Hoosier hospitality. And of course, you know, I always tell people, Ball State has the best lobbyist in the State House on Becca, my good friend Becca. Good to see you, my friend. And of course, Dr. Baga, thank you for your leadership as well. Thank you for all you do. Well, good morning, graduates. It's so good to be back in Delaware County. I'm no stranger to Muncie, Indiana. You know, I've been coming here for many, many years. But today, I even wore my cardinal red tie, okay? So I'm here to say congratulations to the new CEATS graduates. It is quite a title that you have. and you put a lot of work, and you deserve to be recognized. Besides saying congratulations, I also want to say thank you. Thank you for all you do. The Indiana Secretary of State's office and the VSTA program have an incredible partnership. Through working together, we make sure every part of our election process is done with integrity. As Indiana's Chief Election Officer, I'm committed to conducting safe and secure elections. It's what Hoosiers expect, and it is what they deserve. From voting system certifications, services, to audit reviews, on a daily basis, state and local election officials utilize VSTAP services and consult with everyone. I know we get calls, and we always direct them to Elisa or Dr. Kinsella, so I know that's happening. You know, this year, we're expecting a massive turnout this November. Since day one of my top priorities has been increasing voter turnout and voter participation. Along with my team, we've been all over the state setting up voter registration drives, outside sporting events, like the Indianapolis Indians, chasing people with an iPad, trying to encourage them to register them to vote, or outside the Colts games at their tailgates, or at the great Indiana State Fair. Like tomorrow, I will be, and myself and my team, during the Indy 500 Festival in Indianapolis, we will be registering voters. And this Sunday, at the track at IMS, we will be setting up shop to register eligible Hoosiers to register to vote. You see, this is what we've been doing for the past 16, 17 months, non-stop. We all know elections are looked at very closely, and we all know this year will be no different. This professional level of education program that you're receiving today, or you're graduating today, you're getting your certification, it is recognized on a national level, and that's why Don Palmer is here. And it has become a model for other states. Indiana is setting the example when it comes to election process, and a lot of that is due to your hard work. You administrators, faculty, and students, you make this happen. Your experience, your knowledge, and dedication are impressive and invaluable. This program helps make our elections successful and our state even stronger. You know, we've been very active with you with this program. Just for you to know, we have my good friend Brad Keene here in attendance and Valerie from our election division. But at the same time, a special recognition to members of my team, like Scott Sarasi, who is our HABA director and one of the newest CEATS graduates. And also, I would like to point out, Dustin Renner, our election director, is here. In fact, he's already enrolled into the next class. So not only is the Secretary of State's office partnering with VSTAP, we are participating as well. You know, one of my goals is to lead by example, and that's exactly what we're doing. Thank you for all you do. To all of you county clerks here, I'm going to be a little bit biased because I see Ryan Lynch here from Clark County. I'm a Clark County boy, so it's good to see my good friend Ryan. And all of the county clerks here, I don't want to leave anybody out, but you know, you got to be proud of where you come from. So I'm honored to be the Secretary of State, and I so look forward to working alongside you. Again, congratulations, and thank you again for a wonderful program. Alisa, Dr. Baga, Dr. Kinsella, thank you for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Diego Morales, for your thoughtful words and for attending today's graduation ceremony. I will now direct the mic to Vice President for Governmental Relations and Industry Engagement, Becca Pulse-Rice.
Good morning. Welcome to our beautiful campus. I'm Becca Pulse-Rice, and I have the privilege of serving as the Vice President for Governmental Relations and Industry Engagement here at Ball State University. And what that really means is I get the great opportunity to brag about all of the wonderful things that happen here across our campus. And this is certainly one of those wonderful things. We commend you for your work during this CEATS session. It's been a lot of travel for you all, and it's certainly a commitment, but it is so very important to both our system of government here in Indiana, but in our country. And so we're very pleased with your accomplishments and so grateful that you've decided to come to our campus for training. Ball State University is really proud. We call ourselves an Indiana serving institution. This is certainly an example of that. We take students from all 92 counties, whether it's the traditional four-year program that you hear about or programs like this that really help to help you when you're ready for something a little additional, whether it's in some ways a graduate program, or in a case like this, a certificate that gives you a path to continue your fulfilling career and meaningful life. In our mission statement, President Mearns often talks about how important it is to think about a fulfilling career and a meaningful life. And I can't think of, as you think of what fulfilling careers are and meaningful lives, one that assures the success of our state and our country, like the positions that you all have, are so very important. And so thank you for being here on campus. We hope that you have some time and maybe had some time while you were here for some of your trainings leading up to this to spend some time around campus. We believe that this campus is a community and a state asset, not just, but certainly for our students who are spending their time, but also we hope you come back often. We hope you enjoy a concert at our new amphitheater outside. We hope you take your families to enjoy some of our cultural amenities, and we hope certainly in a couple years as we get towards the completion, we'll be doing the groundbreaking this summer of our village redevelopment. We hope that you'll think of your time here fondly and continue to visit. I do think universities need to serve as a catalyst. I think you all, I was going through and looking at some of your projects, and you're catalyzing in your own ways, helping your citizens around you to think about what voting means, to do it the right way, to hold elections the right way, and it's so very important. And so that is an important piece as well. So with that, I hope you enjoy your day. I'm looking forward to hopefully having a chance to meet some of you and keep being the catalyst in your communities for our country, because we absolutely depend on these safe and secure elections. So thank you.
Thank you, Becca, for attending today and providing remarks to help welcome our guests and celebrate their accomplishments. Please help me welcome the VSTOP co-directors to conclude the introductions.
Good morning. My name is Jay Baga. I'm a co-director of a VSTA program and a professor of computer science here at Ball State. And I'm pleased to welcome you all this beautiful morning that we ordered just for you to be here. I have been associated with the VSTA program as a co-director since we started back in 2007. VSTA is now celebrating 17 years of service to the state of Indiana and Ball State University. We and the other two co-directors that we started with, Dr. Ray Sheely and Dr. Joel Lasco, started this program back then with a gracious grant from the Indiana Secretary of State's office. we have enjoyed our close working relationship with the Secretary's office, the Indiana Election Division, and their staff. In the 17 years, VSTOP has proudly served the state of Indiana and the election officials in the 92 Indiana counties. Additionally, within those 17 years, VSTOP has also grown quite a bit from our early beginnings. And there is an addition of many new activities that VSTOP works with and works with the state in creating an overall election integrity environment and safe and secure elections for the state of Indiana. And we are happy to be providing that service. Some of the major activities that VSTOP has been involved in is in the certification of voting systems and electronic poll books. VSTOP created a certification protocol for electronic poll books, which was one of the first such in the nation. VSTOP also carries out post-election audits in many counties. Another one of our activities, of course, is CEATS, the Certificate in Election Administration, Technology and Security, this program. Our first cohort began in 2018, and now we are proud to see our 5th cohort graduate today. We could not offer this opportunity without the continued support from the Indiana Secretary of State. For this, we are grateful to you, Honorable Secretary. Our CEATS participants get to experience all aspects of the election process, including what I like to call the back end of elections. To the voter, elections may seem like a season of campaigning followed by the election day when a voter walks in to cast their vote, or in person or absentee. However, as you all know, the election process is an ongoing year-round activity that goes on in odd years and also in even years. Even though there are state calendars and timelines, elections happen at what some have called election speed, and that's what we have to work with as we follow the election speed. In the 3 phases of the CEATS program, our graduates get a detailed look at this back end, and I'm sure they appreciate what they see as an overall activity that covers the gamut of all election processes that I mentioned that go on. And they culminate this program with a capstone project. All of our graduates have completed their own individual or team projects. And later in the program, you will see presentations by our graduates that are based on the excellent work that they do on topics related to their own counties. And you will hear those presentations. The CEATS program has also gained national prominence since we began to share it with others in the country. The CEATS and the VSTOP programs have received national awards honoring best practices in election administration and training from the U.S. Election Assistance Commission, EAC. So at the opening, you saw Lisa share a slide of the VSTOP team members. So you saw them virtually, but they are all here, or most of them are here. And I would like to now introduce my team here, and please stand as I call your name, starting with Dr. Chad Kinsella, co-director, Mark Chateau, program manager, Duncan Clem, IT specialist, Matt Housley, election systems audit specialist, Spencer Drum, election systems certification specialist, Austin Bilbray, logistics specialist. And we also have 2 graduate assistants with us, Gina Carvalho, who is a graduate assistant with VSTOP, and we are pleased to see that Ethan Rice has come back. He's just graduated, and he spent some great time, and we are going to miss him with the CEATS as a graduate assistant, and we wish him good luck in his future endeavors. And of course, I have to mention that we have special thanks for Lisa Gray, our training and assessment specialist. In case you thought I was forgetting her name, we saved the best for the last, right? So here. I'm now pleased to introduce and invite Chad Kinsella, co-director, to make some remarks. Chad?
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Baga, for the introduction. As Dr. Baga stated, I am Dr. Chad Kinsella. I'm also one of the co-directors of VSOP and an associate professor of political science. It's been a real pleasure to be a part of such a wonderful and meaningful program and a part of today's dedication. Another activity that VSTOP introduced to Indiana is post-election audits. We've worked with national experts in conducting several post-election audits in Indiana, and now we have Matt on board. He's taking that to the next level. Anyway, also the certification programs, CEATS that Dr. Baga mentioned is particularly special for us since both Dr. Baga and I are educators, so this is a great thing to be a part of, and it's been fulfilling to be able to make an impact with local election officials within the state. CEATS is unique. In total, including today's graduates, we have seen 54 participants go through CEATS program. We have a total of 19 people that have signed up for Cohort 6, including Dustin. So glad to have you. Anyway, VSTOP is clearly an interdisciplinary program, easy to say, at Ball State, and really encompasses a lot of the academic units, if you will, in our college, which is we have a large college and a lot of it in there: political science, computer science, criminal justice, lots of different areas. And we are proud of our dedicated professional staff and students who make a great contribution to those activities. So we're pleased to be here with you here today for this important event. Today marks the culmination of months of hard work, and I got to see a lot of that. It is a lot of hard work. And again, because they do not get like a leave of absence to do this. They're doing this on top of their personal life, on top of working. So it's a lot. So these 12 individuals who are part of the 5th cohort, and again, they deserve all the kudos and recognition that they get today, and then beyond that. The CEATS program has been made possible in large part by the tremendous support by the Secretary of State's office, who have provided scholarships to the CEATS participants who are graduating today. We would also like to thank the Indiana Election Division and the Election Assistance Commission for providing support to the CEATS program and helping VSTOP educate election administrators on fundamental concepts, knowledge, and field techniques that are required of them. We've had them in as speakers and all kinds of different activities, and they've been really helpful. Extremely helpful. Additionally, as a program under the affiliation of Ball State University, VSTOP would like to thank President Mearns, College of Science and Humanities, Dean McCarthy, and Kevin Smith is back there, who also does a lot behind the scenes and never gets kudos for it as well, and the Political Science and Computer Science departments, in ensuring that the CEATS program maintains Ball State's mission of engaging participants in educational research and creative endeavors that empower our graduates to have fulfilling careers and meaningful lives enriched by lifelong learning and service to their communities. Another big thank you to Honorable Secretary of State Diego Morales. Again, we can't say enough thank you to him for all of the support that he provides, and members of the Secretary of State's office, as well as Becca Rice and members of the United States Election Commission for taking time out of their day today to help us recognize and celebrate our Cohort 5 graduates. Lisa, would you like to take back over?
Thank you to the VSTOP co-directors. They really do a lot of reviewing throughout the year of material, so wouldn't be possible without them. But before we begin the presentation of the certificates, we have two more special guest speakers, Isaac Miller and Commissioner Donald Palmer from the United States Election Assistance Commission. I am pleased to invite them both to the podium to deliver their remarks.
All right, good morning, everybody. Can you all hear me? Good morning. It is an honor to help represent the U.S. Election Assistance Commission and the E-STEP program today as we celebrate those of you who have worked hard, who have persevered, and graduated from the esteemed Certificate in Election Administration, Technology, and Security program. As a local Munsonian, as a proud Ball State alum, as a former election administrator here in Delaware County, and as also a former lecturer to this cohort specifically in CEATS, I am filled with immense pride and excitement in welcoming you here to Ball State University today. I am here today along with many others to encourage you as you continue to contribute to Indiana elections, making them the best they can be. It is my distinct privilege to introduce you all to someone who is extremely important to myself and the elections process across our country, U.S. Election Assistance Commissioner Donald Palmer. Commissioner Palmer was nominated by President Donald Trump and confirmed by unanimous consent of the United States Senate on January 2nd, 2019, to serve as the United States Election Assistance Commissioner. During his time as chairman of the EAC, Mr. Palmer and his fellow commissioners established processes for security testing standards for electronic poll books as part of the EAC testing pilot of election supporting technology. This initiative resulted in the establishment of the Election Supporting Technology Evaluation Program, or E-STEP, for the testing of election supporting technology related to the Help America Vote Act, and is the reason I'm here today, which is also why I'm very thankful. Mr. Palmer's resume includes time as former Bipartisan Policy Center Fellow and as the former Secretary of the Virginia Board of Elections and Chief Election Official from 2011 to 2014. He's also served as Florida's Director of Elections, where he aided in the expansion of the state's voting system state certification program. He is a military veteran, retiring from the U.S. Navy after 2 decades as an intelligence officer and Judge Advocate General. He holds a Juris Doctorate from the Stetson University College of Law and a master's degree from George Washington University as well. Please join me in welcoming U.S. Election Assistance Commissioner Donald Palmer.
Well, thank you, Isaac. We were just joking before we got up here after Secretary of State Morales that he wore his red tie. We did not get the memo on the red tie. We're here in the gray and blue federal government colors. So thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me today. I want to recognize, Dr. Vega and Kinsella. Thank you for everything you do with VSTOP and with the Secretary of State's office. Brad King with the Indiana Election Commission, thank you. So thank you for inviting me here today on the 5th anniversary of the CEATS program, associated obviously with Ball State and the Indiana Secretary of State's office. I'm going to congratulate you on your certificate and your graduation as you continue your professional training in election administration. And I want to thank you every day for the work that you do for the citizens of Indiana, your locality, and the American people. Thank you for your motivation and your eagerness to take the extra step that you took to improve your specialty in the field of election administration. A lot has changed in 5 years. It's great to see a training program such as this to help professionalize election administration by educating our current and future, hopefully future leaders in Indiana on the fundamental concepts, knowledge, and field techniques of election administration. So the state of Indiana and Ball State have much to be proud as we work together to build confidence in elections. I admire the CEATS program and the many areas of focus, and the EAC has greatly benefited from this program. So for one, our E-STEP director, Jay Phelps, is a member of the CEATS inaugural graduation class. And so when I first started talking to him about this program, he shared this with me, quote, "CEATS is an outstanding program that has changed the election administration process in the state of Indiana for years to come. I still to this day recommend taking this program whenever I am asked by county clerks or election administrators." What an endorsement. And I took that to heart. Now, he has done a great job, Jay has, with our ESTEP program as we began to evaluate and certify election supporting technologies such as e-poll books, night reporting systems, electronic ballot delivery, and voter registration databases. Evaluating these technologies is of vital importance in 2024 and will be beyond. I'm sure you agree. And I want to thank Indiana and the VSTOP program for giving him the training that makes him a valuable member of our EAC staff. So not only has our staff benefited from the program, but CEATS was a winner, as noted, so I won't spend too much time on that, on the National Clearinghouse Awards, enabling members of the election community across the country to become familiar with your success. CEATS became rightfully recognized by your colleagues across the country as they were the judges who selected this program for this prestigious award. So even the EAC's taken notice. We've developed our own learning lab to help educate election officials across the country on federal certification, federal voting laws, ADA laws, and election procedures. Now, before we move on, I want to, the shameful plug, we are going to continue to develop this for our first round of classes this year. Please take the opportunity to beta test some of our classes if you're interested at learninglab@eac.gov. We desperately need the feedback. So now back to the Clearys. The Clearys celebrate innovation efforts from state and local election officials across the country, such as CEATS. So as we're going to hear today, and I look forward to it, your capstone projects, that is a great way for you to segue into submitting those for Cleary Awards so it will benefit members of the community outside Indiana. So you're all members of a larger, greater election community. You're aware of that, across state and federal lines. Thousands of election officials like you are serving as heroes of democracy every day by securely and efficiently administering our elections. They provide the means by which people exercise their right to vote, enabling them to find their civil voice as citizens of this nation. Yours is truly an honorable profession, and you should be proud of your efforts in this patriotic endeavor. I know I am, as much as I ever was in the military. Election administration gives me the same assurance that I'm a part of a greater purpose. So it may not be a calling for everybody, but you are some of the privileged ones that have been called and are doing more. So I served in the Navy for over 20 years, and I was lucky enough to find something that was a second calling. There is a mission, there's a camaraderie of your colleagues, the service to Americans, and as you know, as once it's in your blood, it's hard to get out, and that's why we're here. So I will just give you an example, though, of how things are not always cheery, but it will stick with you. So I want to talk about John F. Kennedy. You know, if you go back and actually read about his service in the Navy, it was kind of tough. And he was almost killed. He saw people die that were under his command. And there was the sinking of his U-2 boat. So there was the challenges of war. And despite that, he said, I can imagine no more rewarding a career. And any man who may be asked in this century what he did to make his life worthwhile, I think can respond with a great deal of pride and satisfaction that I served in the United States Navy. So I don't know about you, but I feel the same way about U.S. elections. And I'm confident that we will be proud in 10, 20 years when we hang it up, that we're proud of our service. So throughout my service at the EAC, and especially as an administrator in Florida and Virginia, there's a few things that I'd like to share. First, in whatever you do, go the extra mile and be unafraid, be confident. Effort always yields a positive value, even if the outcome may not be the desired result. In this case, your persistence has paid off handsomely. So you are defying the sort of the bureaucratic sort of stereotype, and you've approved your ability to give everyone the opportunity to vote in the most fair and transparent manner. I encourage you to continue to welcome people to participate in the election process as a voter, poll watcher, observer, or a poll watcher. Civic engagement in these endeavors strengthens our culture and society. I sure hope so. This is a way for your neighbors to help neighbors, and your effort will be infectious in your community. Second, don't be overwhelmed with the big picture. As the Bible says, each day has enough trouble of its own, so don't be anxious about tomorrow. For tomorrow will worry about itself. So focus on the tasks in front of you. If you enjoy the work and the mission, keep doing it. Preserving the process of democracy is a huge task to ask of any one person or team, but I'm confident that you're capable of doing it each and every day as a greater team of election administrators. Don't let the mistakes or failures be the end of the story, if you have those. As former Prime Minister Winston Churchill said, success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. So more importantly today, thank you. Thank you for choosing this profession, and thank you for taking your time to immerse yourself into the details of it. While you may not see yourself as a professional, you truly are an expert in the field. By knowing the exhaustive details of your profession, you will earn the respect of your colleagues and your constituents. You have a lot to share, and sharing this knowledge is important. Together we'll move the opportunity moving forward to build this community of election administration into a more respected profession. Realizing that election administration may sometimes seem like a thankless job, and people are looking at your potential faults every day, believe me when I say that there are more people out there who are very grateful for your endeavors and encourage you to stand fast. So while you may not hear it enough for them, please accept it from me on their behalf. Thank you for being a part of the community and sharing your talents with us. Thank you very much for your graduation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Before we begin the presentation of the certificates, she didn't. Donald, you didn't change the pages up here. All right, I'm on the right page now. I think so. All right, here we go. Thank you both, Isaac and Commissioner Palmer, for attending the graduation ceremony and for the inspirational speech. We are appreciative of the continuous support provided by the EAC and honored to have both of you here today attending on behalf of the EAC. I will now direct it back to the VSTOP co-directors who will begin presenting the certificates to our outstanding graduates of the CEATS program. At this time, if I could have all of the graduates stand up and make a line over there. I will also have Secretary Morales join us up here. You will stand down here.
All right, we could not be prouder of these professionals for their perseverance, dedication, and commitment to this program. We will now present the certificates signed by Secretary of State Morales, Ball State President Mearns, the ID co-directors of Brad King and Angie Nussmeyer, and to VSTOP co-directors, Dr. Baga and myself. You got the one good signature I've ever done. So, as your names are called, your certificate will be displayed on the screen, and you can come to the front of the room to retrieve your certificate. We have a photographer present to capture the moment when you receive your hard-earned certificate. We would now like to invite Honorable Secretary Morales to join us in presenting these certificates to our graduates. Leanne Angerman. Tricia Carrico. Shanda Cortez. Amanda Dockery. Michelle Feynman. Sydney Gepner. Amy Kippenbrock. Oh, and she's not here, unable to be here today. She was attending her son's high school graduation, so a noble effort, a noble reason to not be here. Ryan Lynch. Rita Meredith. Amy Rolfus. David Shelton. And Scott Zerzy. Please join me in recognizing the accomplishments of our graduates with another round of applause. Well, the good news for myself and several of the other speakers, we now get to transition from the first half of the presentation portion to the graduation ceremony. These presentations will allow the CEATS participants to demonstrate their hard work over the past few months, and it was a lot of hard work that they put in, and what they've accomplished in their capstone project. So I will now turn it back to Lisa to proceed with the capstone project presentations.
So as you all know, the CEATS program stands for the Certificate in Election Administration, Technology, and Security. For the people joining us in the room today, if you are unaware, election administration love our acronyms, so to shorten that up, it's a mouthful, we do say CEATS. Our participants go through months of training in handling elections and technology, currently being used to help ensure they have knowledge of the fundamental concepts and field techniques required of election administrators. As a part of their program, these participants have engaged in a capstone project intended to demonstrate their knowledge obtained throughout the course while also giving back to their community. Each capstone project tackles a problem our participants have identified and allows them to come up with a solution to addressing it in their own county. Each project is rigorously evaluated by the VSTOP team and co-directors prior to final approval. With that being said, I believe it is best to see simply how the capstone projects were completed by hearing it from the sources themselves. It is now my pleasure to invite Ryan Lynch to the stage to give his presentation on improving voter turnout by improving voter education.
Good morning. I thought on my way up here, as long as I don't have to go first, I'll be good. So here we are. So like you said, my name's Ryan Lynch. I'm the county clerk for Clark County down in the southern area. And my project was, like you said, improving voter turnout by improving election education. So let's see. Did it move? All right. All right, so we'll just dive right in. The problem description was low voter turnout due to poor election education is a significant issue, at least in my neck of the woods. It affects the democratic process in many countries, arises when eligible population doesn't participate in our elections. The lack of understanding about electoral process, candidates, and the importance of their votes all impact that. Directly impacts the community by failing to represent the true desires of the majority. All right, my project goals was to improve voter turnout, obviously, empower citizens with knowledge and motivation to engage in the democratic process, improve the way our election employees utilize technology, and then master the communication methods with voters of Clark County. So our action plan, or my action plan, was the project initiation and planning, voter education program development, outreach and community engagement, addressing barriers, data collection and analysis, scaling and sustainability, and outreach and community engagement. I forgot that I put those. It's okay, I'm gonna step forward because that's, the back side's not on there. Do you guys hear me okay? Yes. All right. All right, so the first one was the project initiation and planning. We conducted public surveys on the public opinion of the current state of voter education in Clark County. The next one, we created informational flyers and brochures for the community for outreach and community engagement. We established partnerships with community organizations. We posted flyers to encourage voters to opt into our new text service. Addressing barriers. We informed the public of accessibility measures that allowed all individuals the chance to cast their ballot without restriction. Data collection and analysis. Again, after implementing all measures, we analyzed the data from election results for ongoing improvements. Scaling and sustainability. We created a plan to continue these initiatives while considering funding sources and partnerships. And then the outreach and community engagement. We launched a marketing campaign to raise awareness about the importance of elections and voting, utilizing social media, local media, and community networks. So we created a survey. The survey was sent out to different members of the community in order to attempt to get a better understanding excuse me, of where the public stood on election and election-related topics. Didn't have quite as many as I had hoped, but we had around about 73 individuals respond. So we asked these questions. We asked, how familiar are you with the elections in Clark County? There are our results. We had our next question. Okay, so I'll go ahead and go over the results. We had somewhat familiar was 41%, somewhat unfamiliar was 23%, unfamiliar was 8%, and I chose a wrong color for that. 28% said they were very familiar. Our next question we had was, in the past, have you witnessed any election education outreach from your county's election administrators? We had 44% say no, 22% say maybe, and 34% said yes. Our next question we asked on this survey was, do you think there's a need for more civic education programs to inform the public about the electoral process? We had 21% say maybe. That wasn't me. Okay. So I'm good to continue? All right. All right, so we had 13% said no and 66% said yes. Another question we asked was, what type of resources do you believe would be helpful in learning more about election-related topics? We had 1 said mailed information. We had 23 said interactive website. We had 21 say in-person seminars. 38 said social media campaigns. 46 said printed materials. And 43 said short videos. Then on a scale from 1 to 10, how confident are you in the fairness and transparency of the electoral process? As you can see, I won't go over all that. It's kind of a lot to go over, but we had a good range, a little bit higher in the upper end there. Then our next question was, did you find the voter registration process straightforward and accessible? We had 66 say yes, 18% say no, and 16% say maybe. And then we asked them to select their appropriate age range, and then we had, let's see, 25 to 34 was 19%, 35 to 44, 25%, 45 to 54 was 15%, 55 to 64 was 16%, 65 and above was 8%, and 17 to 24 was 17%. All right, so our methods that we put into action. We created an opt-in tech service known as the Clark County Election Information System. We partnered with our emergency management agency there in Clark County. They already had an existing account with a company, so we just piggybacked off of them and created this tech service. So this allows the public to opt in to text messages coming straight from the voter registration office. It includes election updates like important announcements, upcoming deadlines, and other election resources. We also did physical promotion, which we posted flyers all over the community in order to promote the Clark County election information system. We created a new election website from voter registration. The website was created to streamline more detailed election-related information. We provided a better option for transparency coming from the clerks and voter registration office. Newly registered voters brochure. I created a brochure that we've sent out to all newly registered voters with their acknowledgement letters. The brochure includes information like ID requirements, explanation of precinct voting, resources for all election information. This is what we put up there. We sent out the inside or the outside of it. And then the inside, this is what we created. And with this, we've had a lot of compliments. It seems a lot of the newly registered voters have really appreciated we've gotten actually lots of phone calls saying thank you for this information. So the methods we put into action also, we created, we had organizational partnering. We joined with other organizations to piggyback off their events where potential voters could be. We set up tables at various events, giving the public the opportunity to register to vote and to ask any questions that they may have. We had an election education marketing campaign where we posted flyers all over the community in order to promote the Clark County Election Information System. I've already said that. Part of that, I didn't put it on here, but part of that marketing campaign is we partnered with a local media company who helped us create some videos that we posted. We had them promote onto social media, and we were really excited. The last video that we did, which was a video that kind of explained the whole process of election day, from you leaving your home to being done voting and turning it in the ballot. The last number I saw that they've made it into just into Clark County, and I believe the last time we saw was around, it had been viewed around 84,000 times. So we were really happy with that. Obviously, the more information that we can get out, the better. So last year, forgot to hit the next one. Sorry about that. So last year we created a new website. The analytics from the new website that went live in July is up on the screen. The information provided shows the activity over the overall website, which was around 14,500 views. And the specific, last year we created a candidates page where candidates could submit information and a headshot and then just a short bio of them so that we had the ability to just direct. We get a lot of calls about who's even running for office. So we thought that would be a good idea to direct them to our website, and we got a lot of compliments on that, and we had quite a bit of action on there. As you see, we had on the election candidates, we had almost right around 3,000 views on there for about a 6-month period of time. So the potential resolution, the key data was the high website traffic observed in the second half of 2023 leading into 2024. With our election information system, we have now, I think we're right around 650 people that have signed up for our tech service. I had a pretty high goal at this time, was to be about 1,000, but 650, that's 650 people that are finding out information that may not have been able to find out otherwise. So our continuous growth in the subscriber base is great, and it's continuously moving up. Our community recognition, the outreach efforts acknowledged by all political parties. Obviously, our position is partisan whenever we're running, but I believe when we get in there, we serve everyone. And I'm happy to know that we've had compliments from both sides of the aisle, all sides of every aisle. So it reinforces that we're doing a good job and trying to reach out to everybody. There's been positive word of mouth spreading throughout the community, and we've had good partnerships with some of our high school buildings. So the achieved goals, objective was to enhance voter turnout through improved election education initiatives, and the challenges were to identify factors influencing voter apathy, including lack of education. Our approach was to, we conducted community outreach efforts, implemented educational programs, and collected data for analysis. The progress, we've made significant strides in the community engagement, anticipating positive outcomes with implemented strategies. Our future steps is to continue implementation of our initiatives, conduct follow-up survey to assess impacts, and then to monitor election results and voter turnouts for effectiveness evaluation. Obviously, this type of thing is, we can't really see if it worked in one election cycle, so we're hoping to, as we move forward, be able to monitor those and see an improvement. So the CEATS principles and tools. The United States Election Assistance Commission. Coming into this class, this course, I was aware of the existence, but during CEATS, I was able to really see what the benefits of the EAC truly hold. I've gotten lots of ideas to try from their resources, and it's been very beneficial for myself and my office. Our physical security, we had a lot of talk on the physical security in the course. This gave me the idea of adding a badge scanning locking system to our doors to the election room. So now we can better track exactly who enters there, and kind of manage who's allowed to be in there, and better be able to see on paper who goes in there and for how long they're in there. Making a contingency plan. After I first started, and we had some areas of contingency planning, we had meetings with our EMA director, there's a typo, sorry, director and deputy director, and we worked through things that will be available to us in the event of an emergency. We've had detailed contingency plan writing, and was given to the emergency departments within our county. Before, they hadn't really had a great. The clerk's office and the emergency management office, they didn't have a wonderful partnership, but we've been able to build that, and we supply radios to all the polling locations just in case of an emergency, in case some of our areas don't have good cell phone service, so they're able to use that to get a hold of us so that we know we need to contact them. Through the EMA, we've been able to really improve some processes as far as contingency planning. Acknowledgements. Throughout these last few months, my staff in the voter registration office has been pivotal in the program that we were able to create. Any ideas that I ever have, and I'm always able to talk to them, where we will do a huddle, talk through the ideas. They've been a huge help and truly are fundamental in our success. And I tell them all the time I'm extra. I'm always doing probably more than what people care for, but I'm extra. So, they're not afraid to tell me whenever something is a little extra. So they're wonderful. Also, my wife and my kids. My oldest daughter is here. My wife has been my best teammate and has always told me the ugly truth when needed. If I come up with some crazy ideas, like I said, I'm extra. That is my presentation. I appreciate it, and hope everyone has a good day.
Thank you, Ryan, for that great presentation regarding the innovations you have implemented into Clark County to improve voter turnout. Next up is Amy Kippenbrock presenting on Du Bois County elections branded. Unfortunately, Amy was unable to make it to the graduation today due to other obligations. As we heard, she's going to be at her son's graduation, which is super awesome and an amazing achievement for her as well. So we will be listening to a pre-recorded presentation. So when I click onto this next slide, it's going to begin. So that's why I told Ryan to not go to the next slide, because I didn't want to hear that while I was giving the speech. So now we will give it a listen.
Hi team, this is Amy Kippenbrock. Sorry I can't be there with you today. I am back home in southern Indiana preparing for my son's high school graduation this afternoon. So I'm wishing you all well and hoping your presentations are going great. I'm excited to see some of the information flow from those, and I am excited to share with you my presentation for our capstone project here out of Du Bois County. So here goes. Thanks. So the introduction to my capstone project is that we did election branding message created better for communications to voters. I think as election administrators, we must educate voters to believe the process of the elections. Voters need to have trust in the election process to partake in it fully, and I think that it's really important to focus on this. The goal of my project was in having to educate voters participating in the elections, which will increase voter turnout. As a clerk, that's one thing that I really focus a lot on and strive to have an impact in our community. So I think that's the goal of what my project is. So the clerk's office is really, to be successful, should have a marketing degree and have a depth of knowledge that has created limitations in this area. So, if I don't have a marketing degree, and I have found that I'm really good with talking to the media and having some of these pieces, but there are pieces that I'm lacking. So I think it's a constant battle for voters or people in the public to have confidence in our election process and the outcomes, with many different avenues feeding information to them. So they may be getting information from national media to local media to candidates giving them information, just a variety of different places. And it could be confusing or hard to understand about our election process when they have information coming from different avenues. I would have liked to assume that it could all be accurate information, but maybe it's not accurate to our area. Maybe they watched national media and it's pertaining to a different state. So they, just could be confusing. So some of the flyers that we've attached in some of the things I've attached to this presentation on the next slide are some of the previous flyers that we've put out in trying to combat information that we think voters need and put the truths out there of different subjects. So you'll see here on some of these pieces on this slide is just a variety of different purposes. So we've done evenings where we had events where people could come, they could learn about voting. We have a couple yard signs that are created that just say go vote and where to find more information. And then we do a lot of when and where flyers. And then we also, we had a meet the candidate night and wanted to make sure that they were able to find information on that. And I think business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming. So I think, all of these flyers are really important, but I felt like we were missing the boat and we could do better to our voters. So here is a little snippet of some more stuff. What the future might hold and what messaging plan could look like. So we have released a new branding to the public. We are working with the media, local government, local businesses, schools to help spread the word on our branding effort. So we want to build the brand. That's kind of more of a business-driven mentality, I think. And I think if we build the brand appropriately, then people will know where the information is coming from and they will be more interested, or at least be able to have some confidence in the information that they're getting. So, all right, so here we have some areas of focus that we were thinking about as we move forward on this project. So we wanted to build confidence in elections and participation in elections. That's the whole purpose of what we're doing. So develop winning strategies to keep ahead of the public, capitalize on that low-hanging fruit to identify areas that knowledge that we need to build on to the voters, partner with our media to continue to build the brand and get the message out to the right people. So I think if we do some of those things, we'll increase participation in the election process. So, establishing a trust based on knowledge of the process. So share snippets of the law that guide the clerk and the election board to operate the election process. So I think sharing that information through this avenue with voters can really help build the trust and gain the knowledge of who the information is coming from. Okay, so here you'll see some of our partners. So some of our local media resources. The Du Bois County Free Press is an online news source that we have here in Du Bois County. Du Bois County Herald is a printed paper. ALASI is a organization that helps us bridge the gap with some of our Latino population. I think that's really important because there's so many of our community that can vote. Maybe they just don't understand the process or how it works or how important it is. So partnering with the right people to get this messaging out is one thing, and then using those partnerships to grow that brand as we go forward is really important. It's only effective if we get it to the right people, so using those resources is really important. So something else that I started since I've been here is to be in the classroom. So we've partnered with many of the local schools. We start at the high school level, and we've tried to trickle down into some of the younger ages, but taking the demonstration of the machine to the classroom and talking about voter registration and how to gain knowledge about elections so they can partake in our process. So a little bit more about what our branding is going to look like. Is our new branding is here. So again, still sticking with red, white, and blue colors. We have English and Spanish version of all of our logos that we will provide, and we'll use it in different ways. You'll see where we have just the star, we have Du Bois County Votes, where the check mark within the star, or just the DC in the middle of the star, just depending on what we will use it for is what piece we'll use of this branding. And then you do see a picture of our courthouse there in this bottom corner. That is our courthouse. So I think another message of where the branding and the information is coming from will be relatable to the people who are reading it or seeing it, just so they know it's not something foreign completely, and they start to recognize, hey, this is the same brand that we've been seeing. Not that they're going to think of it as a brand, but they may say, hey, it looks familiar and I know where that information is coming from. So here's just a couple of the first few pieces that we've created. So here's our when and where flyer that we created for the primary this year. Again, a very similar flyer that we've done in the past, but we've kind of updated the colors, we've updated the logo, and just make it more recognizable. And then we have a postcard that we've created, again, with our county courthouse on there, and the new branding colors and messaging. And we use that card for multiple different things. We send it as thank you cards. We send it as new information coming out. If maybe we're sending some kind of congratulations for a high school graduate getting a scholarship, or maybe we're thanking a poll worker or a polling site. So we've used those cards in a few different manners, but we just having a multiple touch to the public, I think helps with getting our branding out. So we'll use it in many different avenues going forward, and I think we'll see a little more of the test of the time come this fall with those voter turnout numbers as we build the brand and try to gain confidence from voters. But as a summary, I believe it's my role to promote, educate, and drive election knowledge. The more knowledge that voters have, the more involved they will choose to take. I 100% believe that. We must have a grassroots movement to bring confidence back to the elections and the outcomes. So people must have faith in the part of the process, and we are divided public on politics. However, this is one area we should all have trust in. So I think making sure people understand what election process is, how it goes, what it looks like, how to participate. Those are basic things that are black and white. We don't have to argue about how that works and how it doesn't work. I think just sharing that knowledge with the public will gain confidence, and in turn will create people to be more interested and have more responsibility to their part of the process. So thanks. Thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me join you virtually today. I am so excited for all of us to have been on this journey together, and I wish you all good luck with your capstone projects as you move forward. And as we gain more knowledge and experience with this branding message, and as it is successful, hopefully I will share that with other election offices and let it grow, and maybe someday we could brand Indiana elections and join together with that grassroots effort on top of all the other things that we already do in the clerk's office, and really try to grow what we have and help each other be most successful. Thanks so much. Signing off. Have a great day. Safe travels home.
We've worked with poll workers and such that help with ballots, and nobody seems to realize the work that actually goes into those. Organization of the ballots is very important at the end of it. When on election night you are counting ballots and you have one missing and your numbers aren't matching and you're there until 3 o'clock in the morning, nobody's happy. So that's what my capstone is based on. And I can't see this, so I'm just going to read off my paper. So I started the organization process during the 22 primary. Before starting the process, applications and ballots were just stored in boxes marked for election. I switched the organization up by putting the applications and ballots in order by precinct and alphabetical. The small change made the applications and ballots easier to account for. The daily internal audits went a lot smoother. I showed and discussed the small changes made to my clerk, David Shelton, and our first deputy. Our first deputy has helped with the ballots on election day for 40 years, and she said the first trial run of this project was pretty exceptional. We only had 2 problems at the end of the night, and there had been times in her past where she had 100 ballots that had problems from different workers. After all the ballots were tallied, she said there was only 2 minor errors. Organizing from the beginning requires responsibility, provides accountability, prevents mistakes, avoids confusion, saves money, saves space, saves times, and makes us all very happy. Again, nobody wants to be there until 3 a.m. My problem description is it's important to keep applications and ballots in proper order by party, precinct, and alphabetical. Failing to be organized can be causing many problems while processing the absentee applications. Organization of the ballots need to be done before and after they've been counted. Not having applications and ballots in order can make it very difficult and time-consuming to sort through hundreds of applications and ballots to figure out where the missing ones are. Lost ballots will affect the outcome of a recount or audit if the ballots can't be located. Auditors are not going to want to wait for you to find ballots when they're showing up for an audit. Nobody wants to see this. My goal was to show a quick and effective way to process the ballots and applications and prepare them to be mailed. The goal is also to ensure that all staff members responsible for handling applications and ballots receive specific training and organization on the ballots. The training will include clear guidelines on how to file them, handle them by party, precinct, and alphabetical order. The training will also include the cause and effect if ballots are unaccounted for at any time, and training will also be provided on how to pull reports from SVRS to show the exact number of applications and ballots you should have. I am a slide ahead. Do I need to go back? That's where nobody wants to see that. That's the page I'm on. So my action plan is to have a step-by-step written plan that will be posted in an area where all absentee ballots are put together. The plan will be a bullet point plan to show exactly how the ballots are to be handled. The plan will identify the exact steps to be followed to keep them organized. A daily audit will be conducted and be performed by a daily count and what the findings are. Again, SVRS will be used. A point of contact will also be listed if any error is found and who will fix them. A paper trail of the internal audit will be kept. The action plan has not been implemented at this time. I hope to have it completed by the 24 general. I expect this plan to hold workers accountable for the work they are assigned and paid to do. I started this organizational method in 22 before I became a cohort. I have followed the plan for the 22, 23, and 24 election. We have had no issues with the ballots since I started the project. At this time, we have not had any workers to implement the project to test it, but I will continue to work on the plan until I become the clerk of Knox County and hand it over to someone else to test for me or with me. So on the conclusion, my goal was to have this project finished and completely implemented. I did not achieve the goal. I was off work for 12 weeks this year with an injury from the 23 general election. The injury occurred while handling election equipment, which is very awkward and heavy, as you all know. Again, with our poll workers in our county, we have a lot of poll workers that are aging and they cannot handle this equipment. You can look to your commissioners for guidance and funding so they can pay to have your equipment transported for you, which we did do this last election. So these were the factors here keeping me from completing my project. From this phase 1, session 5, the process of voting tabulation and reporting will only work if you are well organized. Phase 1, session 6, election integrity is closely associated with ensuring all paper ballots are accounted for. Keeping applications and ballots organized is very important. Errors cost money, waste time, cause recounts, and potential problems between candidates and election staff. CEATS principles and tools have shown me that much work goes into the election process. Election codes are constantly changing. Security in election is a very big top priority, and we must do all we can to implement new methods and practices to continue improving our elections. So how I organized was I went to Walmart and I bought containers, and I used my Cricut and made the containers. It's pretty simple. I color-coded red and blue for the parties. I made little envelopes that show on the inside where you can stick your scan cards. I've had in the past where a poll worker that was helping would just grab one and they're not paying attention what file they're grabbing them out of, and when the envelopes come back, it's for the wrong party. And you know, that's a problem. So then you take it to your election board to fix it. And then I do keep all the original applications filed until they come back, where I transfer them to the 5A central count after everything's been scanned. And then I also make sure I keep copied applications in case there's any problems if I can't find a ballot. This is how we store our ballots in a locked area. They're in alphabetical order by precinct, and we do a daily count on those to make sure they're all there. After the ballots are counted, we store them by precinct, alphabetical order, and we keep the 5A envelopes with the application in it, and all the scanned cards go in the blue envelope so we know we have the exact amount that we're supposed to have. Clerk Shelton's elections are trusted, proven, and he's good. So you can see here we have 2 locks on the door. The door there is on security camera 24/7. He's proud of that. So that pretty much concludes my capstone project. Again, it's ongoing. Our county did volunteer in 23 for a VSTOP audit. They told us at that time that our ballots were well organized, better than any county they had been to at that time. So I'm very appreciative of that. I'd like to thank Lisa for continuing to push me every time I called her to bail out of the capstone project, and she knows there was several. She pushed me along and she kept me in it, and I'm thankful for that, so thank you. And to Clerk Shelton for pushing me every day. He told me I wasn't going to quit when I told him every day I was quitting. He was pretty much like my dad, even though I'm much older than him, telling me you started it, you're finishing it. So here I am. Thank you. So I got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita, for the presentation and great work on the new organization strategies for Knox County. I also just want to give you a really big congratulations. You persevered. You were strong. I know that the past couple of months have been really hard on you, going to doctor's appointments that you had to travel to, and you still completed the CEATS program. It shows that you really are committed and dedicated to election administration here in Indiana and for our whole country. So for that, it's an amazing job. But yeah, we are going to move forward. I would now like to introduce with David Shelton, as he will be presenting on electronic sample ballots and e-poll book encoder stabilizer brackets.
Good morning. All right, first part of it would be about electronic sample ballots. I hated that part of the election process, printing out hundreds of pages. Even a small county like mine, Knox County, our sample ballot would be over 250 pages. Large counties like St. Joe or Lake County, you're into the thousands of pages. And especially if you're a vote center county, you just have so many because you have to have every precinct at every vote center location. It's just cumbersome. You have so much printing expenses, the collation, just the sheer weight of the paper sample ballots you had to take. So around October of 22, right before our general election, I sent an email to Brad and Valerie at the Indiana Election Division. I said, hey, how about this? And they talked it back and forth, said, well, as long as you comply with current law with having a paper ballot present for that, you can pilot this and see how it works out for you in your county. So I worked with my vendor, and we got it in a format where I could easily update it or upload it to just an iPad, electronic sample ballot, or electronic tablet, I'm sorry. And I'm probably going to have to move around here because I'm not seeing where I'm at. So again, that was what the problem was, the sheer weight of the paper, the printing cost, the waste, because half my vote centers, I would have them sent back to me. Nobody looked at them, just very rarely. Believe it or not, we do have voters that don't know they're going to vote for when they show up at the polls. It does happen from time to time, but, it was just a waste, and I didn't like it at all. And another benefit of this was, what can we use this? Do we have to buy new electronic tablets? Well, what about recycling our older, outdated e-poll books? Because, currently we can only return them to our vendor, transfer them to another county who doesn't really want outdated technology coming to them anyway, or they simply get recycled or become e-waste, a landfill somewhere. So, we propose this as legislation. This is the only clerk-related bill or clerk-submitted bill in the 2023 session that actually passed the State House. So I'm real proud of that. And then, come up with other applications for this. In addition to just a sample ballot, you can use it for provisional ballot purposes. With the microvote, use a Scantron card. There's a number attributed to every candidate, as you can see on the screen here. And technically, we needed to have 2 sets of sample ballots at every location. Well, this way, we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Also, with the electronic tablets, the old e-poll books, it has capability to enlarge it. So you are actually assisting those with vision disabilities. Because you can make that full screen to see what numbers attributed to what candidate you want to vote for. And I am not reading what I have printed on here. I'm just going to shoot from the hip here. Basically, the first step is you have to make sure the e-poll book software is removed from an old e-poll book. Now, that's technically not the first step. The first step is you need to complete the IEC 6. You have to have a disposal plan. You have to have that approved by the election division before you do anything. You have to have it approved by your election board, submit it to the election division, and get their approval. Do not jump the gun. Do not get ahead of yourself, because then you'll get a nasty email, and nobody wants one of those from Angie, right? You never get a nasty email from Brad or Valerie. I'm just going to say that out loud. There, the IEC, like I talked about there. I simply set up an iCloud account with each and every one of my e-poll books, or they're now iPads, okay? The same account for all iPads. It simplifies things because you only have to send one email out, and it's received by each and every one of your iPads that you now have. Now, I did have a little bit of insider information that this was in the pipe. I did reach out to Microvote, and fortunately, I had about 15 iPads that had been turned back to them by other counties. So I got mine for free. Sorry, they're all out right now. But there are many counties that have several old e-poll books sitting on a shelf. Allen County has a ton of them. I don't know what other counties do, but just call around, ask around. You'll find some older e-poll books sitting on a shelf somewhere here in Indiana. Again, it's one email account, one easy to remember remember username and password, write it down, give it to your staff members, so if you get hit by a bus, you don't want that information lost, because everybody has to start over. And again, like I said, I just use my ADS master files to upload to that. Primary is a little bit more difficult to do because you have twice the number of ballots. You have Republican and Democrat. I am still working on simplifying this process. I need to try to find some kind of software developer, an app developer to help it out. Currently on the primary, it's one large master file. It's cumbersome, but I have to just kind of keep on swiping to get to the correct precinct for the voter. The general election, half as many. I can create a library easy enough, and it's still less time, less effort than printing out all these sample ballots in-house or contracting with a commercial printer to print it all out, but it does take some time to do. Again, just the step-by-step instructions on how you do it. You open up the email, you hit the upload button on the top right corner of your iPad, save it to files, and I also save it to books. I find that's easier to do if you save it to books. By saving it to books, you do not have to have internet accessibility at your polling locations. It's saved right to the device, so you don't have to worry about connectivity at the polls to be able to view the sample ballots and or provisional ballots. And again, this is just more of a detailed step-by-step instruction of what I just rambled on to you here about. Like I said, it involves a little more labor, but saving it to the books and saving the individual ballots in the fall does make it a lot easier. You have a nice, easy to read library index to find the correct ballot for the voter. And I'm skipping this. We were like 5 minutes behind schedule, so we're going to get back on schedule. So, let's see. So again, I'm not an IT expert. There's still some improvements to be made to this process, and if anybody wants to try it out, I can send this to them. I have written step-by-step instructions, and maybe somebody can see an easier way of doing this. I need all the help I can get, that's for sure. So that concludes the first part of my presentation. The second part is e-poll book encoder stabilizer brackets. So I use No Ink e-poll books, which is an iPad, it's an Apple product. We also use the encoder. So for those who don't know, an encoder is a device that plugs into your e-poll book. It encodes your vote card to the correct ballot, correct precinct for the voter, okay? The purpose of that is to potentially eliminate human error. As you know, that's our biggest enemy with our elections is human error. So without the encoder, the poll worker has to manually select what precinct the voter gets on the voting machine. This eliminates that by pre-programming the card for one-time use and it can be used over and over again. But we ran into a problem where we had connectivity issues and coding errors. That's a bad thing, because then you have to get your famous green star card and start it out. It affects the perception of the integrity of your election process. When you have an issue, you have to stop the voting process. You have to get your inspector to come over, and it looks like you're turning on and off your machine. That's not what really is happening, but that's what the voters think. So I knew a guy that does 3D printing. I gave him a very crude drawing, and he printed one up for me. It was black at the time. I went through 3 or 4 different prototypes, but that was the problem. Connectivity issues, also charging problems. Encoding and charging were the main problems we had right there. And then unfortunately, the encoder, the way it plugged into the end of your iPad was it just simply went into your charging port of the iPad. And it was loose. It would wiggle around both there and then where the power cord plugged into the encoder was not secure and stable there as well. So this encoder bracket would stabilize those 2 points as well as creating a larger beveled slot for the vote card itself because it was hard. I saw my older poll workers really having difficulty putting that card in correctly. And with that larger beveled slot, it's more like what you see in a gas station pump now, where you can practically throw a credit card in there and it goes in the right way. And that's what the goal of that was. All the principles and tools we've heard about before, and I can keep on, expounding upon the virtue of it. But it's been very important, very interesting process going through the CEATS program because you do learn so much behind the scenes stuff that most people don't think about, but they don't realize. Also utilize the Secretary of State's office by filing for an LLC for my company, Shelton Specialties. I am attempting to make money on it. Any proceeds proceeds will go to help pay off house foundations. Not really real foundation, but the intent is the same. It really, really is. As of right now, I have sold to 18 counties in Indiana, just under 500 units. I was hoping to be in the black at this point. Patent attorneys are really, really expensive, and they really, really drag things out. So I'm still in the red a little bit. I need to sell to one more county, Lake County. Used it. I think I've already sent out a couple sample practice to Lake County. Hopefully, maybe by the fall, I can actually be profitable on there. But I'm not trying to get rich on it. I just more want to help people out. Again, here's pictures of the item right there. You can see how the encoder, the first picture there, just simply sits in the e-holder by itself. The encoder slides over it and secures it to the iPad and the sled, the carrier, the case of the iPad itself. I made sure to make the encoder bracket small enough that it goes in the existing case that Knowing provides, so there's no additional storage required. Again, maintain the power cord. Now, another problem that I encountered, I used my cables as an example. Didn't know it, but Knowing has provided at least 6 different cables to the counties in Indiana. Even though the plug-in is the same, the outer plastic housing is completely different. So I've ended up having to develop 2 separate versions of the encoder stabilizer bracket. And there you can see the bevel slot for where the card goes into, and the card in there. Again, you know, finding a patent attorney, they're not on every street corner. The patent process with the initial consultation, the patent search before you actually retain the attorney, and the whole process. I'm right now 16, 17,000 into legal fees with the patent process on there. I don't know if that's good or bad. To me, that's a lot of money. A lot of money, because I just don't spend money on myself. I'm wearing a $10 suit I got at Goodwill, for crying out loud. All right. At the time, I colored in the counties where I had sold the brackets to so far. There's a few that I needed to add that came in just like a week or 2 before the primary election. Again, over 400 at the time. I'm close to 500 right now. And that's too far. That's my presentation there. I'll put that on the schedule for everybody. And if anybody would like to see it, I do have one with me in my little backpack here, so I'll be happy to stick around and answer any questions or let you touch on it a little bit. So thank you very much.
All right, congratulations, David, on your creativity coming to life and being able to find new purposes for your outdated electronic poll books. Before we take a brief intermission, we will have one more presentation, which will be a group presentation from Leanne and Michelle from Lake County. Leanne and Michelle will be presenting on flip charts and flow charts. They may come up to the podium.
Which button? Okay. Are we there yet? No. Which button do I hit? That one?
Your next step is
The arrow one?
color in Lake County there.
There we go. Okay. Just didn't know what button to push. So, I'm Michelle Fayman, the Director of the Lake County Board of Election Registration.
I'm Leanna Ingerman, I'm the Assistant Director.
So for our capstone project, we created flip charts and flow charts, which is a comprehensive educational 4-part series. And so we're really proud of that. Leanne and I, flipping pages. Knowledge is power, information is, no, I didn't change it, did I? There we go, gotta catch up. Knowledge is power, information is liberating, education is the process of progress in every society and every family, as stated by Kofi Annan. So in the spirit of putting on our own oxygen mask, we commit to investing in ourselves as election administrators. In order to better serve the public, we look for quality programs to enhance our skill sets. So first, Leanne and I are CERA graduates, which is nationally certified through Auburn University and Election Center. We are one of only 3 current election administrators in the state of Indiana that are certified. And today we're proud to be CEATS graduates through Ball State University, sponsored by the Secretary of State, and here at Ball State through VSTOP. So we're extremely, and we are the only 2 that are both nationally and state certified now in the state of Indiana. So we're very proud of that. We are full-time election administrators. We run a complete bipartisan election voter registration staff. And we are excited about the knowledge that we have gained through both programs, and we are thrilled to share them with the voters, the staff, and fellow administrators. I think it flipped. Did it flip?
Yes, okay. So the problem that we identified is something that's very personal to us. It's the erosion of confidence by voters in the electoral process and those who administer it. We knew that we needed vetted and accurate data, information from subject matter experts to demystify the process and restore faith in Hoosiers in the process that we have. We've been considered a friend and an enemy. We constantly bring ourselves back to the purpose of processing elections, not guiding them. As a friend of mine once described my job, it's a minefield of divergent and often conflicting interests and ulterior motives. He wasn't wrong. It's a challenge, but for election administrators, I think it's important for us to become the subject matter experts, the trusted source, and the ethical watchdog of the electoral process. So the impact of not having good and accurate data is an erosion of voter confidence, distrust in election officials, increased tensions within the parties and between the parties, and ultimately affects voter turnout. To judge the performance, we had to determine if the educational components were considered helpful. We gauged stakeholder approval. We provided feedback loops that gave us valuable data in making the determination. And the educational components received many positive comments from voters, poll workers, and election officials after it was introduced. Other agencies have been very complimentary. They've asked to use the modules, as a template or just for themselves. We've had requests from counties and other states, from Ohio, from Pennsylvania. They've been distributed across Indiana. They've even been distributed to the Secretary of State's office. And the positive reactions that we received from the community members, those who were voting, those who were working, has been incredible. We included QR codes in the back of all of our forms so they can, hit on that link and provide feedback to us. So we are constantly using that feedback loop, constantly trying to improve the process that we have.
So Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. We recognized old materials had become stale. We found the best approach to be multifaceted. We created a unique set of targeted materials for voters, poll workers, election officials, and administrators. Election administrators are expected to be proficient in diverse subject areas, including human resources, poll worker training, election and procedural law, budgeting, physical space management, organizational communication, public relations, information technology, and cybersecurity, just to name a few. So it is important that we identify the goals of the organization in our order for us to prioritize them with time management and budgeting resources. It took months of research and editing to provide quality content, and then we had it vetted by our friends at the Indiana Election Division as well as our board attorney, so thank you very much. Feedback loops were created, and they help us to know when and where improvements are needed, and we are constantly improving. We've already started creating a couple new modules, even for a future. And collaboration is always fun and exciting, and it creates a better product in the end. Our goal was to increase election integrity by providing a foundation of the rules, laws, and processes of the election. We seek to promote transparency through the sharing of information. Ultimately, the main goal is to, through the use of our 4 modules, improve the voter experience, which will lead to a boost in voter confidence.
Recognizing the problem didn't have a one-size-fits-all answer, we engineered a response with 4 educational components. Each component was designed specifically for its target audience. So we have the voter education module, which provides a wealth of vetted and accurate information in a single trusted source. The poll worker quick guide was thoughtfully engineered as a lay flat, sturdy guide that they use on election day. They can open it up, keep it on the end election officials guide works in conjunction with that. That's for our staff inside the office that take calls from poll workers on election day. And we created election administration and best practices guide that was designed to share our experiences with other election officials, hoping that it might have some helpful insights. Everything was branded specifically with a non-partisan patriotic design. We branded all 4 models with the same logo. We carefully, worked with making sure that we weren't violating any copyright laws. So we purchased the logo. You'll see it here in a minute, but it uses our star that's back here in the background. So everything that works with it's all branded the same. When you see it, you identify it as all coming from us, and that you can trust it. What we found is that printed materials provide consistent answers. If you're not giving consistent answers, it's going to reflect poorly upon your agency. The layout, especially of the poll worker quick guide, that was carefully engineered. It was inspired by materials that I once used as a 911 dispatcher to find fast answers. We may not be saving lives every day on election day, but I think it's pretty important that they get information quickly and accurately. Again, the branding was very thoughtful. We actually created, probably about 20 different brands, logos, and narrowed it down to the one that we thought worked best for us. We wanted to make sure that the product met the expectations in our minds. So we called out the printers, we met with them personally, and I will have to tell you, professional printing makes a difference. We received these materials in our office, and I kind of fell in love.
We were all giddy.
I ran into Michelle's office, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this is amazing. We couldn't have, gotten better with the printer that we partnered with, and it was tremendous. This is a picture of all 4 modules together. We're super happy with it. Adaptive management. I gotta talk about this a little bit. I think Dr. Baga called it election speed. I call it adaptive management. This project was due, March 24th, somewhere toward the end of March. But we believed in this project. And so we thought, well, we're going to do a beta version for the 23 general. So we created a beta, we put it out there, and then we get an email saying, hey, there's a grant opportunity. You can do a HAVA grant for the Secretary of State's office. And I'm like, I bet we can do this even a week earlier, and we can get this done. Let's add another module to it. Let's throw it all in together, let's brand it, let's get it all out there, and apply for the grant. We got the grant, which provided professional printing for us. That was fantastic. Super thankful for that. We also used it to apply for Cleary Award from the EAC. This project has become our platform, and we are super excited about it. From speaking engagements, it has been, this program, the CEATS program, is a tremendous asset. It changed the game, I think, for us and what we were able to bring. So we appreciate this opportunity. It's created a platform for us to talk about election integrity. Michelle's going to talk about some ways that we distributed that.
So introducing the project to the community, we printed the voter guidebooks, which we've given to both political parties. We've taken them to our local libraries, and we did not know how many different libraries we have in Lake County and how many are not associated with each other. We have at least 18 different library systems in Lake County. So we've been on a road trip going all over. We've been taking them to our city and town halls. We've got them at the election board office, and as she stated, with having other opportunities, we were able to present them at the Northern District Clerks Conference, which was super exciting. Our poll worker guides, we printed out and used, we have about 1,700 poll workers just alone on election day. So we gave 3 sets of them to the poll workers, so the inspector would have one, the judges would have a set, the clerks would have a set. Gave them out at training sessions, and really anybody who wanted to pick them up, we have them at the counter. Because again, more information, the better, more transparency that we have. And again, we put those at the clerks conference. Then for the election officials guides, we use those during our staff meetings and again at the clerks conference. We have 11 different early voting sites, which we've had numbers as high as 98,000 people cast their vote early at one of those 11 sites. So we have also put them at our early voting sites, so they're hitting a lot of people. We serve approximately 1,000 registered voters in over 350 precincts in Lake County. And it was a great way for us to share the materials with them. Through sharing the digital files and materials, we have the ability to reach Lake County's population, which is about almost 500,000 people, and going far beyond our county lines. As Leanne stated, we've been reaching out to Pennsylvania and Ohio and all across the country. So in conclusion, we do believe that we met the goals of the project, and we met some new and amazing friends along the way, our cohorts. So here are some of our favorite takeaways. We encourage participation from all stakeholders and share knowledge with them. Never stop learning. This is a fascinating process, and quite frankly, election law is fun. Y'all know it. Go with the flow and use adaptive management and project management skills to seize new opportunities. It is important to work together to find the best solutions. None of us are in this alone. We have an incredible network of election administrators to collaborate with. There are many tools and resources available to election administrators from the CEATS program. So we encourage everyone to be part of that. Is that up there?
Tools and principles, yes. Okay, so from the CEATS tools and principles, from election law through going through SVRS, meeting with CISA, we were able to take advantage of that. They came out and they did a physical and cyber assessment for us. Meeting with the EAC, bringing all of this information together was incredibly helpful. Our job has changed. The job that we do today is nothing like the job we did 5 years ago or 10 years ago. It's completely changed. It's important for us to rise up to the new challenge. I'm happy to say that participating in this program, best career decision that I've made, I know Michelle agrees with me.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much. We have to step up, we have to step out. We have to tell our story and our truth. If we're not bringing the information to the public, they're listening to whoever steps up to the microphone. It has to be us, establishing ourselves as the election experts, bringing the information to them so they trust it. I think the branding helps out with identifying all of that and just bringing the whole package together. So we're super excited about that. We didn't get here alone, right? Acknowledgement. One more, 2 acknowledgements. For our team, we have a pretty big staff back home. We have a staff of 24 in our office. They have been amazing, not only helping us to create this project and bring it together, but by doing their work diligently so we could work on this. We appreciate it. Brad, Val, Matt and Angie aren't here. Thank you guys so much. We couldn't do our jobs without you guys. I'm eternally grateful.
They're on our
Brad is the
speed
brave
dial.
one who went page by page with me through the manual, going through it. Thank you. We appreciate it. VSTOP, Dr. Vaga, Dr. Kinsella, thank you. Matt and Lisa, thank you. Beyond the work that we've done here, there are friends. We thank you for that. It's been tremendous. We are going to miss all of you, but thank you for what you've done. For the Secretary of State's office, who sponsors this program, who brings it together, thank you. Tremendous. Again, I don't know what we would do without it. Thank you so much. Always remember those that have helped you on your journey. So thank you. We do have in the back, we brought all 4 training modules with us. So we have bags in the back that everybody's helpful to take with them. Hopefully they can bring some insight or inspiration to all of you. Thank you for all you've done. Thank you, Michelle. Couldn't imagine doing it anybody without her. So.
We had a great time, great camaraderie. There'd be days we're sitting in the office working on this, and she's like, it's really quiet out on the floor. And we'd look up, and we close the office at 4:30, and we're still sitting there at 6:30 just diving in. And that's what helps so much, even just having the time frame of the timeline of when to get this stuff. We were diving in, and before we knew it, it was 6:30 at nighttime. We're emailing it to our homes, we're reworking it at home, coming back in the morning, and we're like, this is the changes we're gonna make. And so it was really exciting, and so thank you for all your encouragement and support, and we hope others enjoy this. So like she said, in the spirit of Oprah and Ellen, you're all going home with some swag. Thank you.
So much.
What an excellent job by Michelle and Leanne in completing their project of flip charts and flow charts. This will be a great implementation and reference for Lake County. I know it has also been so imperative for the whole state of Indiana, and I cannot wait for you all to share it at the conference this summer at a national level. So for that, I want to give you guys another round of applause. We will now have a brief intermission before we complete the remaining capstone project presentations. Please feel free to enjoy the refreshments at the back of the room. They are not in here yet. I did tell them we were running late, so I'll let them know we're ready for some snacks. All right, so if you need to leave the event early, please feel free to do so during this time, and then we will be reconvening. Oh boy, what time do you all think? We were supposed to have a 15-minute break. We are like 30 minutes behind. 5 to 7. Okay, so maybe like 12:10. All right, we will reconvene at 12:10. All righty. Thank you all. Alrighty, everybody. If you have not already, go ahead and grab yourself a little snack. That way you have something to nibble on while we go over these rest of these presentations. And then find your seats, please, and thank you. Did you grab a snack? Did you grab a snack? Okay. Yeah. But alrighty, so I have here, welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed your refreshments on my script. So I don't know if you've been able to enjoy them since we are in a rush, but so as a reminder, please be sure that all of your cellular devices are turned to silent during your presentation. But yeah, with that, we are now going to welcome Scott to the stage, who will be giving a presentation on communicating to the public, answering questions, being accountable, and providing information.
Thank you, Lisa, and also for reminding me that I am in the way of you in Nashville and of everyone in their Memorial Weekend. So I plan to be relatively brief. One of the things that I am always tried to be aware of. I'm relatively new to the elections scene, and I just realized I need my glasses now. I'm not happy about this, but I do need my glasses. Thank you, all of you, for attending today, and congratulations to my teammates as we finish up our year together and celebrate all that we have learned. Today I would like to talk to you about communicating with the public and why that is important, offer some thoughts on how we can focus our message to them clearly. I've had a bit of a journey in deciding what I wanted to do, and the struggles that I have had turning things in on time, but I finally decided on this because it's a little bit personal. I had wanted to do something on election security, but our office kind of beat me to it, and so we're debuting, for those of you who know, we're debuting our election integrity website soon. And we've been sending out packages to all the elected officials. Our clerk's offices all got them, and so we've been doing a lot on that. But I realized that we had something in our office that I feel a little bit passionate about, and something that I'm going to work on this summer to be able to do and finish. But one of my first jobs in state government, I worked in the governor's office for Governor Daniels, and while I was there, I focused on FSSA and DCS and Medicare and Medicaid issues, and eventually I went over to FSSA and their legislative team, and part of my duties over there was answering the questions that we got in from constituents and regular people about Medicare, Medicaid issues, and also the things that came in from the governor's office went to me. And one of the things that I found out as I was doing that is how little we communicated with our constituents, with the people that we actually are supposed to be served as public servants. When I went over there, of the ones that we answered, which was a very low percentage of the requests that we got in, they were over 40 days. The average was over 40 days. By the time I left, I had gotten that down to 8 to 10 days of being able to answer, cataloging them, grouping them in, and getting them to the right people. I couldn't answer all the questions. Some of them were very specific, but that was one of the things that I have always been passionate about, is making sure that we are accountable to people, being transparent in government, and it gives them confidence. It restores trust, establishes trust, and hopefully we are end up spending taxpayer money correctly. So, and make sure that I'm on the right page. So how we talk to each other is very different to how we should talk with the public. At the beginning of this course, we had a sheet with abbreviations on it, and on them there were definitions and meanings of what those abbreviations were. And if even in a class about elections, filled with election officials, we still need to take a step back and make sure that we are on the same page. And we need to be able, how are we able to expect voters to be able to know that if they are, if even we have to take that step back? So I am very lucky to have gotten to know you county clerks, county officials, and the people of VSTOP in the past year and a half that I've been involved in these elections. And I've seen our secretary travel around the state and constantly meet with them and trying to build the relationships and doing what he can to meet you guys where you are and to talk to you and where you are. And we should have the same expectations when we are doing that with voters. So And obviously, we've made a big leap in our communications, I think, in the Secretary of State's office, meeting with local law enforcement and starting up those partnerships with those organizations. And so my project will hopefully add to that information and transparency for voters at the grassroots level and meet them where they are. So just a quick project overview. What I would like to be able to do, and what I'm going to do, is to update our frequently asked questions page. One of the things that I've noticed, because I am actually the HAVA administrator, is actually required by federal law to have be available on your election day during the times that you are open. So I'm actually required to be I or somebody on my team, and that team consists of me. And so I'm the one that has to be there to make sure that I'm answering questions for all the calls and emails that come in to our office and be able to answer them. And so I just noticed that not a lot, but there are some issues that are not on our website that we are not communicating that I get questions about in the past 3 elections that I've been working. There's an old story about 2 young fish that are swimming along, and then an older fish swims by and says, how's the water? And the older fish goes away, and the younger fish turn to each other and say, what the hell is water? So sometimes we as election officials don't always don't appreciate what is going on around us and how we're able to communicate that to other people. So communication can become persistent, and the most persistent things can be taken for granted, and that is why they are the water that we swim in. And so as public servants, we need to think about what communication is working. If we have all the information we think a voter needs, but they call us anyway, are we really communicating in a way in which they understand? So the value comes from the communication, not from the website. So as a result, I took a step back and reviewed our website and frequently asked questions to see if the information on it matches the experience I had when communicating with voters. And while I found that there is plenty of information on it, there are some key questions that I get that are not on there. So indianavoters.com does have a lot of tremendous resource for voters, but there are some gaps as to where some of the information could be exchanged a little bit better. So some of the most frequent questions that I get are ones like, and you probably get this too, can people hand out material at the poll? Can a worker stand next to me while I'm filling out my ballot? Those were not clear questions that I found on our where we had to be able to share that with the public more easier. So, is that on the goals? Okay. So what I want to be able to do is make transparency to the public more accurate so that they can, again, have some trust on us. So this summer, I'm going to be sending out surveys to the clerks, so please watch out for that. And talk with our law enforcement and try and pull together some of those gaps that we don't have on our public-facing places for people to be able to go. So I want to be able to find out what those gaps are and then fill those in on our website and have something not only for the public but also more of a frequently asked questions for you guys so that you guys can prepare for that, so that you can have that information right there in front of us. Yeah, so that's the action plan that I have, is to be able to do the surveys, to be able to have that, and I really enjoyed Ryan's presentation and how he laid everything out. I'm probably going to have to steal how he did that, and hopefully I will have that happily to share that all that information with everyone after I get that. So there have been a lot of great things about CEATS and the relationships that we have had. One of the things that I always like to do is go back to our mission, vision, and values whenever you start and then when you finish, and see how everything fits in there. And so I did go back and looked at the mission, vision, and values that are on the CEATS website, and happy to say that that they are living their values, and as are all of you. So just very proud to be a part of this, and as I'm starting my journey is getting into more and more into the depth of the election process. I appreciate all of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Scott, for your presentation. This will be a great resource for the state. Our next presentation will be from Tricia and Amy, who will be discussing their project of Election 101 workshop.
All right. What I can say honestly is that the carbs that you just ate are probably causing you to get drowsy right about now. So we're going to keep this short and sweet. I am Amy Rolfes. I'm the clerk of the Circuit Court in St. Joseph County. I am a brand new clerk, been in it for about 16 months now. It's worth saying, I'm the first Republican elected county clerk in the history of St. Joseph County. So there was a lot of contention during my campaign. And one of the things that my opponent said about me quite frequently was, because I'm a retired teacher and I've run a couple of nonprofits in my history, they said, my opposition, she doesn't know anything about elections. Why would you elect somebody who doesn't know anything about elections? My counter to that was, I'm a fresh set of eyes and I plan to learn everything that I can about elections. And lo and behold, the CEATS program came up, and the first thing that I did once I won the election was look into the CEATS program. And then when I chose Tricia as my chief deputy, I said, girl, this is what we're both going to do. So that worked out really well for us. We've really learned a lot. I will say St. Joseph County is the 5th largest county in Indiana. We have about 290,000 people that live in the county, and we have about 190,000 registered voters in the county. That's just a little bit about me, so I'm going to let Tricia introduce herself.
I am Tricia Carrico, and when Amy picked me, I was actually in voter registration, and that was a board at the time, so I had a counterpart. A little bit into her administration, that now became under the clerk, which was wonderful. So then she swooped me out of there, and then we have an election clerk, and a lot of things changed, but it's been a wonderful, wonderful process. Our project was an elections workshop. We thought, how can we make this very easy for our voters and to get them to want to engage in it, at the same time to not find it extremely boring and not care. So let's see. All right, so the first thing we wanted to discuss was the misinformation. Let me find these pages. Okay. Misinformation can cause public distrust. Clearly, I could get into the weeds on that, but I'm not going to. Public trust in elections has deteriorated over the past few election cycles. We all know why. And St. Joe County, we definitely wanted to step up the game. There is a lack of clarity on election laws. There's that gray area, and it's also open to interpretation. So one of the things that we did, there was this key debacle, and so we have an R key and a D key, and then there's no really set amount of keys. So it's very clear now that we have one R, one D, and that is the election board that holds those keys. They have a backup, and they pick the backup, and those are from the voter registration. So we have an R and a D with a key, a backup key. That room with the ballots You have a camera going into the room, you have a camera in the room, and a camera going into the ballot room. You are on camera the entire time. We do have, Amy implemented signing in and signing out, but nobody goes in there by themselves. It has to be in a bipartisan team, so you are not allowed in the ballot room by yourself. So it is a team effort at every moment, and that's all on camera. So we wanted to make sure that St. Joe County trusted us a little bit more with the whole process. Yes, origins of distrust. Misinformation, deliberately created or misled, lack of public understanding of the process, which is a huge thing. One of the things that I hear and we hear is, oh, it's connected to the internet. The Freedom Votes and the OVOs are not connected to the internet at any point in time. The only thing is your poll book, and that is just so you can check in and that you're not trying to check in somewhere else. And it also lets you know if someone's tried to vote absentee, so we understand that. Social media is another. It can be a great tool, but it also can backfire on you a little bit. And the lack of understanding in the local and national media. I think, again, I could get into the weeds on that one, and I'm not going to, but we're just trying to work with our news in our local area to try to get the word out on how our process is. Let's see, and then the results of distrust. Low voter turnout. Well, why should I come? My vote's not gonna count. That's not true. Every vote counts, because it does. We have a report. Everything is backed up. I can't, I mean, there's no way I could ever hide a vote. There's no possible way, and if there is, I don't wanna know, because I'm not aware of it. Then we have people oppose election results, threats to election workers, which we've had. We've had people escorted out of our vote centers. We've even had vote center workers escorted out as well. We did not have this in this primary, so that's a good thing. We've improved. And we have civic engagement apathy. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things moving forward that we were trying in this workshop to have people understand the process from the minute you walk in to the minute you walk out. And I will let you take over.
Well, actually, can you just?
Yep.
Okay, the goals. All right, the teacher in me, that's why I stand here with my little clipboard and also campaigning at the same time. No, really, the teacher in me as a new clerk, I really do value education, and I value the step-by-steps that you have to do in order for people to understand. So particularly because there was a lot of dissension and conflict in my winning the race, I really wanted to draw on my teacher thought process. And so the goals were basically to provide the accurate information on the process of elections. So people would come up to me and I'd say something to them, I hate politics. And my response is, this is not politics, this is process. So if you don't trust the elections, come and be a vote center worker. But out of all those conversations and my teaching background, we needed to provide to the community a foundation. And we consider these the four building blocks of understanding how the process of elections work. So voter, obviously you can read it yourself. We had people from our office at each table. So we had at this election workshop, we had tables, voter registration, absentee ballot, roll of election, and then we had our vote machines there as well. And so we consider those the building blocks and the facts and the accurate information coming from those. So our elections clerk was at the absentee ballot explaining everything about it to the people that were at the workshop. Voter registration as well. And we even had, as I said, we had the election vote machines there from our RBM contract. So I'll give a shout out to Ryan there. Our RBM consultants, Nick Abernathy, drags the machines around with him when we do these workshops. Next slide, please. All right, so again, the teacher in me says we got to put together a work plan. It was really fun. It was basically very organic because we had a lot of interest in making sure that we were the trusted source of information. Again, going back to the campaign of you don't know anything. So by us being in the CEATS program and then relying a lot on election code and lots of calls down to Brad and Angie and Valerie, we came together, a whole bunch of us came together to plan out what's gonna make sense, what's gonna work. So we put our vision together in August, designed in September, implemented in October and November by working with the public library. They invited us to do our sessions of Elections 101 there because they wanted more community engagement, they wanted more government education. So that worked out well, and then in December and January we reviewed and learned a lot. So, next slide please. Thank you. Okay, so if we want to get to these different demographics that don't vote and hate politics, we had to think of it in a different way. So we wanted something that was fun and engaging. We did not want any lecture at all. So it's an open format. You come into the room and there are the different tables set up, maybe a 2 or 3 minute introduction of who we are. And then people are free to go to whatever table they want to go to and get whatever information they want to get. It's not a captive audience. It's a very free-flowing kind of source of information. And then the vote machines was also, that was super fun because, you want to go to the next slide? So this is what we did for the election. We had Penelope Pig, Rocky Raccoon, Samuel Sloth, Neon Llama. We wanted to make the learning about the elections just fun and whimsical. We didn't want any politics in it. So here we go. My favorite is Rocky Raccoon's improved trash quality. So we actually had these on the vote machines, and we had campaign posters around the room as well. So when people walked in, I think they automatically got this feeling of, oh, okay, this isn't politics. This is, you know, kind of funny. So it allows them to feel more welcome and put up less barriers. That's really what we wanted, less barriers, so anybody could join us. You know, the library's on the bus line anyway, so, you know, it was downtown. And so anyway, that kind of made it kind of fun, and then we did use all of our technology there. We actually had as well some, I don't know, vote for your favorite comedian and that kind of thing too. Next slide is, so we did create some of our own materials, and that's a takeaway for everyone. Again, I think language is hugely important, so by having just the words like air gap and absentee voting, what really is it? What's absentee ballot? Those kinds of things. So those were takeaways that people could use as well. All right, your turn, Tricia.
All right. So, all right, the one thing we learned was bring it to the voters. If they don't come to us, we will go to them. So a lot of people are still intimidated to go in an open area and then go, well, I don't know anything. And so we learned too that it would be more beneficial too if we put like a very short video of the process on our website, just so that they can see from the beginning to the end that it's not that intimidating and that no, you're not connected to the internet, and no. But we are trying to work to get into some high schools so that we can present, like in government classes, the process so they understand it. Also get some people to register to vote while we're there as well. We have worked with the libraries, as she had said earlier. And then we worked with some other departments within the county building to actually help us with like our signs and just, it's actually been a lot more of a group effort than I anticipated. Not that I didn't think anybody wanted to be a part of it, but it was just more shocking that people are just like, yes, let's do this. So it was definitely exciting. Next slide. So the CEATS tools and principles. We definitely learned to implement the best practices. There's a lot of things moving forward, you know, in absentee that we definitely could, you know, cut out, make a more simpler process, and make more of an understanding to the public what that is. You know, securing a signature. Oh, how do I know that when I signed up for this application to get my ballot, and then I get the ballot, and how do I know that, you know, someone doesn't do that for me, and then the signatures, because we do a vote, we see your whole entire history of your signature, so we compare that. And a lot of people don't know that. They think, like, someone can apply for the application for someone else, and how do we know that that person didn't fill it out for them? Well, because we can look back and we will look at their history of their signatures for however, I think it's like to 2006 is the history on which we can look back. Yeah, so there's no way around that one. And as you can see, process of voter registration and the EAC and the election equipment and how that's certified. I had no idea before I came into this. I mean, I just was voter registration, had a small part in elections, but I had no understanding of the certification of, you know, the equipment. And so now I walk away being fully informed. And we had our first recount last year. So that was quite interesting. And it was a tie, I think.
We had a tie and a recount.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we learned a lot in that first year along with the class and everything. And then
And our last slide is just about all of our collaborators. Anyway, we, you know, it's the same thing that everybody has already said. Thank you so much to the CEATS program. Secretary of State's office was awesome. They provided us with so many takeaway materials, the bags, the coloring books, all of that. All of those things that if you can get them into the hands of the voters, just like you said, Leanne, as something that they can take away, that really, it's something they can look at and they can learn from. Yeah, well, our collaborators is a really, it's a really long one because we had lots of different departments in the county, as Tricia said, which was amazing because they really wanted to help. And I think it was because we wanted to do something to help the community to understand elections better. And people were like, oh, well, we'd be on board with that. So all the way from the Secretary of State's office all the way down to our local TV station where we got on to go on ABC 57 2 or 3 times to talk about Elections 101 and the deadlines and registration and all that. So we really had a lot of support. So thank you everybody because we learned a lot.
we did. Thank you.
Trisha and Amy, what an incredible presentation and educational program for voters in St. Joseph County. I would now like to invite Amanda Dockery and Sydney Gepner to the stage to present on Vote Center emergency procedures. There's the collaborator. There we go. Okay.
Alrighty. Well, my name is Sydney Gepner, and I'm Amanda Dockery. We are from Vigo County, and we did our capstone project over Vote Center emergency procedures. We thought of this because there were several things that happened in and around Vigo County. Sullivan County had tornadoes. Last summer we were without power in Vigo County for anywhere. Some people had it 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. We had a lot of bad storms, and actually on election day, we had a tornado warning, or was it a tornado watch? The warning, the worst one. We had a tornado warning on election day where some of our vote centers did actually have to shelter, and we had to close the vote centers down for a little while. So we said that we jinxed ourselves because this was our capstone project, and then of course that happened in May. So, all right. So we will identify the problem. Currently in Vigo County, we don't have a procedure in place if there was an emergency to occur at one of our vote centers. Like I said, there have been several weather-related incidents that happened in and around Vigo County that brought attention to this and being prepared in case of an emergency. The safety of voters, poll workers, and other election officials could be affected without an emergency procedure in place. So the security of the election is important to keep in mind if there is an emergency.
Okay, the impacts. Poll workers and voters can be affected if there was an emergency within the vote center. Election officials could be impacted by either an emergency at a vote center or at the courthouse. Having an emergency contingency plan may impact the public's confidence in elections. Voters may notice that we are prepared even in an emergency, and that could increase their confidence in elections. And an emergency or disaster could impact or delay election results depending on the severity of the emergency. Being prepared can ensure timely election results as well.
Okay, so our actual performance versus our desired performance, so far so good, which we cannot evaluate entirely until after the primary election, which now we have done. So we were able to have plans in place. Actually, we were in ePulse whenever the tornado warning started, and there was a notification sent to all of the poll pads that all the vote centers need to shelter because there is a tornado in southern Vigo County. So we were able to do that. Let me see. But yeah, other than that, we have actually been able to gauge our performance a little bit better.
Okay. Our goal is to provide each vote center with the following: procedures for various emergencies, exit routes, emergency contacts, supplies, covering emergency protocol, and poll worker training. Our goal for this project was to provide poll workers training and materials to use in case of an emergency at the vote center.
Okay, our action plan was to purchase supplies needed. We did this in October of '23. We prepared our emergency manuals and exit plans at the beginning of 2024, about in January. And then we created a training curriculum, which didn't really get done, but that was supposed to happen in February or March of 2023. So we are still going to be working on that, on what we can train poll workers in the poll worker training classes of how to handle the emergencies. We brought an emergency guide with us today, and we'll show that here in a little bit, but we kind of did a test run. We didn't have the emergency kits for all of the vote centers, but we did provide them with an emergency guide, so that way they had the emergency contacts and procedures for them this past election.
Our plan to collect data comes from the poll worker surveys that are handed out during each election. Between poll worker surveys and just talking with our poll workers, it was mentioned several times that it would be appreciated some sort of action plan in case of an emergency. We are looking forward to hearing feedback from our poll workers regarding the emergency guides provided.
Okay. Let's see. We had a couple minor delays, but we were still able to follow our action plan. We solved our problem by creating an emergency guide for poll workers to prepare them if an emergency were to occur at the vote center, and also giving them an emergency supply box. We used data analysis and other materials provided in the CEATS course to do this.
All right, and the conclusion, all right, sorry. We are pleased with the end results of our capstone project. Other than our everyday duties within the clerk's office, there weren't any factors that kept us from achieving our goal.
Our CEATS principles and tools. Two CEATS principles and tools that helped us the most with our project were one of the articles that was risks in elections, what can go wrong, and then another video that was preparing for elections from the EAC. The risks in elections article was helpful in identifying some weak spots that we had in emergency management, and then preparing for elections emphasized the importance of having a backup plan and a backup plan for your backup plan. So, and then that is everything. So we'll go through some of our emergency supplies that we're going to have at the vote centers. So we have our battery backups right here, and along with the battery backups, we don't have one for each battery backup that we have, but we do have solar panels. So in case the electricity would go out, we can continue the vote center. Let everybody keep voting and have this here. And then inside our supply tote, we just have some different things. So there are some flashlights in there. We have an emergency crank radio. We've got desk masks, just in case that the air quality were to be poor. They have some desk masks. We've got water in there. We have alcohol wipes for sanitation purposes. We have first aid kits. Like I said, the battery backup and the solar panel. And then we also have a laminated copy of that emergency guide for each vote center. On the front page, it has their vote center with the address in case they were needing to call 911. And then there's also several phone numbers, like the election central phone number to call the courthouse on election day. They've got Terre Haute Police Department, Vigo County Sheriff's Department, and then their facilities contact point. So, and then there's also just instructions on there on the type of emergency. So let's say fire, tornado, even a disgruntled voter, because that can be an emergency as well. So, and that's all in the guide. And it's laminated in case it were to have water damage that doesn't get damaged. So.
Thank you, Amanda and Sydney, for the fantastic presentation. The emergency procedures for vote centers in Vigo County will be a great tool for poll workers. Now, last but not least, we will be hearing from Shanda Cortez, who will be presenting on election process monthly guides. We've made it to the last one, everyone.
Well, being in White County, I'm used to being the last of the alphabet, so I'm not surprised that I am, we're the 91 out of 92 counties. So, my name is Shanda Cortez. I am the voter registration election clerk in White County, and I did mine on the election process monthly guide. So, the state does a great job at providing the clerk's office, the election office, with our guides, our calendar guides, our election code books, our administrator guides. Those are all good for deadlines. The problem is the lack of knowledge about elections and training when new administration comes into the office. So we have a new clerk coming in. I had no idea coming in what election was actually, really. So who has this problem? The clerk's office and the voter registration office. And then why should this problem be solved? This helps make election less intimidating and smoother for the new election employees. So the goals in this project was to make a simple, easy to follow guide. For example, I worked in the medical field prior to this. I have a medical degree, so I worked for neurosurgeons before. So I was completely nothing government. So coming in, so I started a Shanda's Book of Knowledge back then. So then I carry that over to here. I'm going to create a book of knowledge for myself here, which actually evolved into this project. So I wanted to be more detailed and have as many steps as possible in my guide. My action plan was, I was working on this guide during the municipal election. So after I kept everything, like that's just a picture of some of the years. So after every month I would finish, I would compare it to the municipal calendar guide that I currently had in front of me. This worked out great because it was a fresh in my head what we did that month. The research I did was from, I've been in voter registration for the past 5 years, so I've gone through every election, so I kept all my material from before. Now this is not as in detail as Lake County's, but I did not get it published. But, so this is an example of the presidential guide. So one of the things that I did for this is I did it in a Word document to where, because I've actually sent this off to other counties, and they have used it to make it to their own county. Because what I do in the month of January may not be what everyone else does, but generally, like when you start finding your poll workers, working with your party chairs, like I have it all broke down in what we do in each month. So testing the guide, Sam, who's actually here with me today, she is our new part-time election deputy. And like I said, I sent this to other counties for feedback. My obstacles with this was the last notes that I had for the presidential guide was 2020. And I'm sure everybody remembers 2020. So, which I'm very glad that this primary went smoother. So I had to go back, legislation changed. I mean, just the process of how we did stuff in the primary of 2020. So this was basically my starting point of what for the guide. So like for the next presidential election, like I plan on tweaking it some more and stuff since all I had was 2020 to go by. So in conclusion, this guide will help our county for when we have new administration. And I have completed the county guide and the municipal guide as well. And I'm hoping that these will help us get a refresher for after our new election year next year. Yay. No special election for White County anyways, hopefully not. The CEATS principles and tools, election integrity. If there is a guide that will help with doing the same steps every time, then less doubt will be raised. I'm very much a believer in you do the same thing every time, less errors on your end. I'm very much that type of person. So election personnel training, this helped confirm the counties needed a guide like this because we do already have for our DREs, our e-poll books, VVPATs, SVRS, and like I said, the deadline books that the election division gives us. So I would like to thank my clerk, Laura Cosgray, because her and I work really well together. She was both new in office, I was new working with her, so we have a sit down before every election going through our process of what I'm doing every single month, where we need to be at every month. My clerks in the office, the deputies, because I'm still horrible at writing papers. So that was one of my detour to this program was writing papers, so luckily they helped. And then Sam, she had absolutely no idea that what she was working on was my guide. So she was my guinea pig through this whole thing. I just gave her, I said, here's steps for our election, and that's how she did the inspector binders. We went through absentee bags, like poll worker training was all in that guide. So yes, so I plan on making little tweaks along the way within the next year, so. All right.
Great work, Shanda, on your capstone project and presentation. This will be a great reference for your new employees in White County. That now concludes the presentation portion of today's graduation ceremony. Please join me in giving our presenters another round of applause. Congratulations to each of you once again for all of your hard work you have put in this year. I'm going to go off script a little bit here, but I just have so much pride right now being able to see firsthand the empowerment that the CEATS program, the Secretary of State, Indiana Election Division, the EAC has been able to provide to you guys throughout the past year, and that they have provided and they'll continue to provide is just so amazing to see as a VSTOP member and as a training and assessment specialist for the state. So I'm just feeling really happy right now. I just want you all to know that. But I am going to ask that both VSTOP co-directors join me up here on stage to provide some concluding remarks.
Chad, I think you go first.
Did I get it? Okay. Let's give our presenters one more round of applause. They did a great job. So we'd like to thank everyone again for joining us for the fifth Certificate in Election Administration, Technology, and Security Capstone Project presentations and graduation ceremony. That is a mouthful. Thankfully, that is not an acronym yet. But anyway, I would like to close with a few additional words of appreciation. We'd like to thank the attendees who joined in support of the graduates, and for all the Ball State University resources who assisted with facilitating the graduation ceremony. Dr. Baga, I'm going to let you take it over from here.
Well, there's so many people to thank, so many, this is, as I said earlier, the back end. There's so much preparation, months and months of preparation, not just for CEATS, but for this ceremony, and thank you all for attending. So I would like to thank especially Lisa Gray, VSTOP's Training and Assessment Specialist. Lisa works primarily with the CEATS program, and she organized this event. Thank you for your time and effort, which made this event possible, Lisa. Thank you. Let's give her a big round of applause. Not only this event, as I said, but she's also, she helps out with the entire session, all the phases of the CEATS program. So we concluded phase 3, and you saw the results of the capstone projects. And now we are very excited about starting the next cohort, which, as was reported earlier, we have a very healthy enrollment, and we have participants in that program from not only the Secretary of State's office, but also the CISA program. So we are very happy to have those participants. But I would also like to thank all of the VSTOP's external partners in the field of Indiana election administration. These include the Indiana Secretary of State's office, the Indiana Election Division, the U.S. Election Assistance Commission, Baker Tilly, and CEATS. VSTOP would like to convey our gratitude towards these key players for their ongoing support. The Certificate in Election Administration, Technology, and Security is successful in large part due to their support and guidance. As always, we look forward to continuing our work together to ensure that Hoosier election integrity stays the way it is and even gets better, and that the voter confidence keeps on improving. Thank you.
So before we adjourn, we would like to acknowledge Cohort 6. There are a few in the room today, I believe. Jennifer? Yeah? Yeah? So we look forward to beginning the next cohort in June. That's actually in a couple of weeks. So I told Matt yesterday we're going to have to add event coordinator to my job responsibilities, because I'm planning a lot of events, and along with my help from our logistics specialist, Austin Bilbert, he helps me get catering and everything figured out. So big thank you to Austin for also helping me plan today and future CEATS sessions. So as I had mentioned, next year around this time, we will be celebrating the completion of 19 more graduates. VSTOP and the CEATS program are honored to be able to empower Hoosier election administrators to create public value and election integrity within their communities. With that, we have reached the conclusion of the graduation ceremony of the 5th cohort of the CEATS program. Thank you all again for attending, and to our participants, we wish you the best of luck with your current and future careers in elections. Congratulations to each and every one of you again for all of the hard work you have put into the CEATS program. Please do never hesitate to reach out to VSTOP if you ever need anything from us or just have any questions or you just miss us and want to have a conversation. We are always willing to offer our assistance. Before everyone leaves, could we have all graduates approach, I said the front of the room, but we are, I believe, going to try to fit back on the backdrop for some group photos. And then after the photo, you will have time to socialize with everyone and network with people in the room. But I hope you all have a great rest of your Friday and a wonderful extra long weekend. And congratulations again. Also, please eat more snacks. There's plenty over there.